Hey guys, it's Shaun from ElevateMedia. Today, we're going to be talking about the basic biomolecules. Before we start discussing the different types of biomolecules, we must first define what a biomolecule is. A biomolecule is a chemical compound that is essential to one or more biological processes in an organism. Let's look at a simple example. Glucose is a molecule that is most notably essential to cellular respiration and photosynthesis in organisms. Since these are biological processes within an organism, glucose would be considered a biomolecule. An important feature of biomolecules is the way in which they are arranged. Biomolecules are often arranged into polymers, which consist of monomers. A polymer is essentially a chain of repeating subunits, and a monomer is a subunit being repeated. Let's look at a quick example. This is compound A. As you can see, compound A consists of this red unit being repeated over and over again. Therefore, compound A would be a polymer, and this red unit is the monomer. So there are three categories of biomolecules that we'll discuss today: carbohydrates and lipids. Let's look at carbohydrates first. Carbohydrates are known as the energy source for the body. Our bodies use carbohydrates to synthesize ATP, the molecular source of energy for our bodies. Carbohydrates can be found in grain products such as bread, starchy vegetables like potatoes, and many fruits. Carbohydrates are often referred to as saccharides, which means sugar. There are many different types of saccharides, and you've probably heard of some of them. Saccharides can come in the form of monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides are single sugar units. Examples of this include glucose, fructose, and galactose. Disaccharides are composed of two sugar units. Examples of these include sucrose, maltose, and lactose. Polysaccharides are composed of three or more sugar units. Examples of these include starch and glycogen. Let's look at the molecular structure of glucose, a very important carbohydrate. The glucose molecule has a ring structure with many hydroxyl groups. The hydroxyl groups on the side allow glucose to bond to other molecules, forming di or polysaccharides. The next group of molecules are lipids. Lipids are better known as fats and are important for energy storage and insulation. Lipids can be found in oils such as olive oil and vegetables like avocados. Lipids can come in many forms, such as phospholipids, steroids, and triglycerides. Let's look at the molecular structure of triglycerides. Triglycerides have two components: a glycerol backbone and three fatty acid chains. The glycerol is composed of a 3-carbon backbone with 3 hydroxyl groups. These hydroxyl groups are important because they bond with each carboxylic acid of the fatty acid. Fatty acids are composed of a carbon backbone with a carboxylic acid group at one end. This carboxylic acid group bonds to the hydroxyl groups of the glycerol. When 3 fatty acids are bound to one glycerol, this gives us a triglyceride. The fatty acid chain can either be saturated or unsaturated. A fatty acid is saturated when there are only single bonds in the entire chain. This allows each carbon atom to bind to as many hydrogen atoms as possible, making it saturated. While an unsaturated fatty acid has at least one double or triple bond. Due to this, the fatty acid cannot bind to the maximum amount of hydrogen atoms, making it unsaturated.